Tara, how do you feel now that we are finished with our very first town hall, the real talk for rough times?
You want some real talk?
Only real talk.
Girl,
Yes.
with some rough times in the real talk for rough times.
It's some for real rough times in the world of technology. But we got through it, y'all.
We got through it, y'all.
Yes.
Yeah, technology just didn't do what we wanted. We tried to put some technology together to give access to more people, and it just didn't work out. But you know what?
Yep.
Okay, that's how the world works. As entrepreneurs, like if we can't recover from stumbles, we're doomed, right? Like this is in our blood. We're used to it, and to do it with grace and humor. And so, you know, when you all watch the rest of this video, you'll get to see the end result, and it actually doesn't matter whether it is perfectly produced or it's on Zoom, or it sounds like sometimes, you know, someone's talking through tin cans. The information is real and it's relevant, and we need to have it. And there's way too much stuff that looks real good but doesn't have the value. Give me the good stuff all the time.
Right. What I really like about it is this is the reality of being in business for yourself. It is figuring stuff out as it's happening. And that's exactly what we did. We figured it out as it happened. And the end result is that we were able to get the information out to you all that we wanted, that we know is super helpful. Thank goodness we had some really good speakers, but more importantly, our community supported us. Not only did everybody come through who signed on, but also the community of people who work with us to just help move things forward. So big shout out to Krista, Sherry, and Latoya. Yay, we couldn't have done it without you. But we also want to thank you for logging in and looking at the video, because there's still some really, really good information that we want to share. So again, thank you. And Tara, let's take it away.
Enjoy.
Bye.
All right, so let me tell you guys a little bit about Josh. I actually just met Josh a week ago, and he is a tremendous resource in the Chicago area. He's been a business owner, entrepreneur. He has been a financial consultant for the Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council. He as we speak, is counseling small businesses on how they survive in this time. And we thought, who better to bring to you than Josh? So Josh, why don't you get started?
I'd be happy to. Thanks a lot, Tara. You know, I've had my fair share of technical difficulties, so I feel the pain. It's these programs are not really meant to be used. They're meant to be toyed with. This is the quote I want to lead with, which is, "It's like you're drowning, and then someone hands you a baby." That was a line that Jim Gaffigan said about when he had kids, and I think it's so apropos that's what life is right now. It's like you're drowning. You feel like you're drowning, and then somebody hands you a baby. It's really crazy that what we're going through on this panel discussion is very much what our solo entrepreneurs are going through, just trying to figure out what's true, what's false. And I wanted to put this as a beyond the PPP, because the solutions that are offered seem to be not solutions. They seem to be something else entirely. The PPP is a problem in that it asks you to hire back staff, or many of you tried to go to your bank and they put you at the end of the line. You never even got an application. Even if you did have an application and you're trying to hire staff, you're pulling the staff back off of very generous unemployment benefits, and then they're supposed to come back to work, but you don't even have work for them. This is the nature of this era that we're living in, where true is false and false is true. It's crazy, and I do appreciate all that you guys are going through as solo entrepreneurs. which is that fight, that drive, and I try to support you as best as I can. The thing is that there are a lot of roll the dice programs, and I can send this to you, and so I put this into slides so that you don't have to feverishly write it down. I could share this with Marilyn and Tara and get this to you. These are different programs, and they all have fine print. Is what I want to highlight is that you know, you could go for these grant programs, but there's the Facebook program is in 30 countries. The Stacy's Rise project is only 15 lucky female entrepreneurs will get $10,000, 15 around the whole country. So it's really rolling the dice. This Red Backpack Fund, this is $1,000 grants, 1,000 grants for $5,000 each, and that's on a rolling basis. You could really check into that. That's the most likely out of the three that I mentioned. So what I was encouraging our solopreneurs to do is to go back to basics of looking at your opportunities. If you're going to take on debt, if you have some revenue coming in that could support debt, look to debt opportunities because they're out there, and the banks do want to reach out to you, like CIBC and First Midwest Bank. And in each of these, the CIBC has a program that goes as low as 620 for your credit. And you know, if you have a 680 credit, you could really walk into any bank and see if they're still processing. These two loan programs will take about 30 days because of the PPP program, the Payment Protection Program. But and then also Accion serving Illinois and Indiana has their line of credit, their bread and butter loans. They've been processing all these other programs, all these other government programs that don't seem to get back to you, don't seem to have any benefits for you. So they're going to be opening up in June. So that's an opportunity to really take your destiny into your own hands and go into them and say, and Accion is the very best at offering credit to folks who need it, to solopreneurs who need it. So check in with Accion, usaccion.org, and I left the link for the line of credit and where you can get some information there. Finally, I wanted to tell you where to look, where I look, and where you can look. Because if you're wondering how I know what grant programs are there, I know from a source like this. Small Business Majority is a good organization that advocates on behalf of small businesses and solopreneurs, if I'm not mistaken. Then they also have a very comprehensive data website called Venturize, and then that's an opportunity for you to look through and see where you have different where you have grant programs. That's the prepared information. I ran through it quickly because we have a little time to get through a bunch of speakers, but I wanted to give you that opportunity just to see these different sources and these different opportunities, and really for you to reach out and take that kind of because this is out there, this crazy economy. It doesn't change the fact that you solo entrepreneurs have been fighting and scratching forever. Unfortunately, it just makes it that much harder, but you have the advantage of being people who have always scratched and fought forever. I love my client who did promotional materials, and now she's selling masks. I love my other my management consultant, who's a sociologist. He happens to be a sociologist. He ended up realizing that all of his clients that he's trying to go after are at home too. So he developed a home pain point project and looking at the pain points. And so he developed a whole line that he's going after and pitching to the people, knowing that they are themselves at home. So he's trying to reach them at home. And I think about my manufacturer, who's not a solopreneur. He got the opportunity to hire back his employees, but he's a manufacturer and everything's frozen. So he's talked to every one of his clients, and he's got a few of his clients to advance his deals, and so that he could work on these deals in advance of when the timing was supposed to be. So that's really my message on this program, is that you guys are always fighters, and I really respect you, and you can, in this time in particular, you could take this opportunity to reach out to those who could support you, because they're ready to help you and to progress.
Fabulous. Thanks, Josh. We're gonna take some questions. So if you have a question for Josh, if you go to the participant section of Zoom, you can raise your hand, and we can turn your mics back on. And so while we're trying to see if anyone has kind of questions top of mind, I have a few. As somebody who's going through this personally myself, oftentimes people don't want to tell us the hard truths, right? And this is a place for real talk, right? In the past couple of weeks with the various people you've worked with, kind of what are some of the hard realities that people just don't want to admit?
I think people don't want to admit that they really don't have money. They don't have money to, I advocate switching paths and doing a different thing. And they spit back at me, I don't have money. How do I get money to do one thing or another? And it's a vicious, if there's no business, how are you going to support a loan? And that's a hard truth. But what I really am trying to push her, and what I try to push my clients, is that you returning to your roots, that when you first started out, you had zero money, and yet you were able to push the ball forward. And basically, this is a reset, and it's an unfortunate reset. But it's on all of us to stretch the dollar and to see if we can't structure free stuff in a way that we could make it usable. One client said, I can't use free Zoom because my clients won't accept that. But I suggest that you do use free Zoom because your clients are sitting at home themselves and they're not in their professional mode. If they see that you are active in this particular time, that's the most important thing, that you're standing up and being in front of them. Is, in my impression, that's the most important thing.
Wow, fabulous. Anyone else have a question? I don't see any hands, but that doesn't mean y'all know how to use Zoom, because clearly technology is not the best for either one of us. Questions that pop up? I don't see any. So Josh, if you'll hang on for a minute, like if any other questions come around, I'll let you, we'll let you know.
Absolutely.
And in the meantime, we're going to turn to our second speaker, who is Chris Brogan. Chris Brogan, where you at?
Tara.
There you go. All right, everyone. This is Chris Brogan. He has been so sweet because we have been yanking him all around the internet today. But Chris is one of the best known names when it comes to digital messaging and marketing. He has been in the game for a long time. If you look him up, you'll realize that Tony Robbins comes to him for advice and has him on his podcast. All the major corporations, all your faves, are the ones that come to him. He is an 8-time New York Times best-selling author. Trust me, if you're looking for where to start, I say start with this first one called Trust Agent. I believe it's a 10-year anniversary this year, and it is as relevant today as it was 10 years ago, probably even more so given what we're going through. All right, so you're probably tired of hearing me talk. So Chris, I'm gonna go ahead and let them hear from you.
Oh, Tara, how sweet you are. Hello. Hello. I'm so glad to be here. You know, what a perfect theme for how this event works. Because if you think about it, everything didn't work exactly the way we wanted it to. It wasn't as planned, right? Well, that's life. That's business. That's what's going on right now. And the companies that are going to thrive, including your small solo companies and anybody else, are the ones that are going to make this work from that experience, right? The ones who can pick it up. I like to quote a lot of music lyrics, and I like to make you figure out who they're from and stuff like that. In this case, it is the philosopher Anthony Kiedis. He said, complete the motion if you stumble. Inside of the song Can't Stop. That's it. That's the only hint I'll ever give you. I'm going to say tons more music quotes throughout this presentation. You have to guess the source. So Anthony Kiedis, complete the motion if you stumble. That's this, right? So you're going to stumble with your client. I accidentally double booked for this event because I kept reading Central Time as Eastern Time. And I was like, this is fine. I've got this really put together. And I had to actually go back to a client, a paying client, and say, hey, remember that big team meeting that you scheduled all these people to be at? I can't be there. And guess what they said? No problem. This happens. Is he happy? Of course not. But that's fine. We'll fix it. It's all fixable. Almost everything in life is fixable. And the things that aren't, you pray to the right person and you do the stuff you do to make your amends if you have to, right? That's life. What I want to talk about in regards to these times. Now, by the way, the whole conversation's about language, but it's about how do you use language to drive your business success, and how do you use language to kind of drive your worldview and your success? Because words are like software. And what I need you to take away from this, and Tara, I just realized desperately that you're going to have to kind of keep me on track for time because I have no idea when I started. So it is absolutely important that you keep me on the leash. Okay. So words are software and words are language. And so the difference in how you say things matters way more than you think. I went to a class a long time ago, and it was a class about mantras. And I didn't really want to be there, the things you do for a woman kind of experience where you're like, I'm going here because the person I love is going here. And the guy said, how many of you practice mantras every day? And like one person put their hand up, because there's always that one person in the class. And everyone else just kind of smiled politely and stared blankly. And he said, well, I think you think that, but here's the thing. You do mantras every day, except usually you don't think much about them. And usually they're your inner critic complaining to you about yourself. You're so stupid, or you're going to get it wrong, or, that's just like you. The things that you say to yourself all the time drive your energy and your action. What I do as a business person, and the reason I get to consult with the biggest companies in the world, is I try to help people work with language and work with their systems so that they can deliver something that's going to help them use technology to drive a better human interaction. So in these uncertain times, it's uncertain every day, right? Everything is an uncertain time. The world is an uncertain time. That language helps nobody. Are you hanging in there? Hanging in there is probably the least good answer to how you're making out. So what has to happen? The opportunity that needs to exist, what we do with ourselves, is we have to build language that we can use outwardly and language we can use inwardly to drive better business experience. So I'll give you some ways to start thinking about this. First, there's 3 types of business stories I try to help companies figure out and people figure out. One's called a mission story. And mission stories are any kind of story. Just a couple of sentences equals a story, right? A story is an accounting of events. So any kind of story that helps you remember what the mission of your organization is. So, being part of this event with Tara and everybody else, this is about making sure that people have the tools they need to thrive. That's my mission, right? So as I just said, use the web to drive better human interaction, use technology to drive better human interaction. That's this, right? So that's my mission. So when I say I will do anything I can to make this happen, that's because that's my mission, and that's a story I tell myself. So that's a mission story. The second kind of story are belonging stories. And those are kind of the stories you have to tell the most of, because I think that humans in general are really sick of trying to fit in. We want to go where we belong. We're so tired of having to, squeeze our way into that thing that we are like is close enough, but not really the deal. We want to go where we feel we belong. And this time has really changed that opinion even more. We want to give our money to the kinds of people we feel have the same values we have. And we want to work with the kinds of companies and people that have the similar life going on around them that we feel like would get us, which is why when you suddenly start trying to watch these YouTube videos of some of your favorite nighttime celeb shows, like either of the Jimmys or James and any of those kinds of people, it seems weird. It's because you didn't really like those people. You just kind of wanted to see the fancy people on the show, right? So that belonging stories are what we sort of tell the most of. You belong here. This is the kind of place that, we like strong women who, these are the things we do with belonging stories. The last kind of story are growth stories. Growth stories kind of split into two. One is the stuff you would imagine when you think about a motivational speaker. We're all going to climb the mountain together. That's a growth story of one kind. The other kind is the more corrective sort of growth story, which helps someone get from where they are to the mission that you're trying to accomplish. So if being somewhere on time is a super, super important part of the mission, because if you're not on time, then the client doesn't get served or something like that. Like for instance, McDonald's, right? McDonald's has a drive-through window timer set, and there is a rule to the drive-through because our expectation of experience at McDonald's is driven by that. So it is so super important that they make timeliness a massive part of the growth story. So if you're not being timely, they tell stories of how that impacts everybody's customer experience all the way around, right? So mission stories, belonging stories, growth stories. Notice I'm saying the plural. This isn't a mission statement. This isn't the 1980s. You're not Dr. Stephen Covey. And what your goal is to make this a living, breathing experience. With belonging, what you're trying to do is make sure every day the people that you serve externally and the people you hope to attract to you as partners, clients, employees, and everything know that they're with the right person. There's no surprise that I am at this event, because this event is full of the kind of people where I feel I belong and where I feel I can serve and be helpful. That's what belonging means. And then growth stories, like I said, one kind's, part motivational speaker, the kind of fuel that you need to feel like you're going to get where you're going. And the third kind of story you're going to make, the other half of the growth story are those corrective stories where you help people realize that they need to help execute a little bit better on the mission. What do you do with this in these times? One thing you do is you try to remember that human always wins. Now, there's kind of this line between totally phoning it in and absolutely bulletproof and fake. And then there's the, Britney Spears shaved her own head hot mess. You want to be sort of in the middle. You want to not necessarily let the whole world in on every single trauma that you have, but you do want to be human and you do want to show you mess up. Thank you. And it's really important that you drive who you are by being a lot more brave about what you know and don't know. This is the time for this. The world has changed. They want humans now, not robots. Number two, with regards to that, this time of presenting yourself in the way you are, learn the language of the people that you most hope to serve. Once you talk in the language that they need, then it works a lot better. When you're hoping to sell someone something, they're not wondering about you. Let me tell you, so I do a little bit of website review when I'm working with clients, especially if I'm helping them try to think through their customer experience journey. You know what I see mostly on solo websites? A lot of people justifying who they are. And in every single piece of copy, there's a little bit of something there that tells me about their emotional discomfort, that the things that their parents might have said to them at some point, something that they might have heard in a school, or some job that they didn't get reflected back on their webpage. Your webpage is full of your emotional flaws more often than you could ever begin to believe. So think about that and think, I better write this from the perspective of the person I'm hoping to serve. Make your buyer the hero. The best you get to be in this journey is to be Yoda. Now, I know we're wrapping up. I know we're heading towards Q&A. Hopefully this was helpful. And I just really want to get you to where you're going. If I didn't get anything said that you needed to hear, you can always follow up with me, chris@chrisbrogan.com, or just Google me. You can find me on every social network except for TikTok. I'll see you later.
Hey, Chris, fabulous. Thank you so much. So if you guys have questions for Chris, it may be easier for y'all to put them in the chat, and I can read some of those off, or if you raise your hand, however we get to the all technology, right? But Chris, we actually do have a question that came in. So how do you tell a story? Like, so right now, there are a lot of industries, like the travel industry, that are just decimated, right? How do you even address a story in that type of environment?
So here's what I would do if, depending on where I worked inside the travel industry. You know what? People are totally not traveling right now. They're totally lamenting the fact that they're not, and that industry is losing as much money as they could possibly lose right now. But you know what I would do? I would say, remember when you went to these places? Do you remember the places you had planned to go? Let's just dream together for a while. Let's look at these cool videos. Let's keep the energy alive, because this isn't going to be forever. You are going to get to come back to the places you want to go to. And you do have big events that need to happen in locations like this one, etc. These stories are sort of, dream stories. It's the same way people look at seed catalogs if they have a little garden. In the cold of winter, they look at seed catalogs. That's why they go out in December and things like that, because those of us who live in really cold climates, that's where it gets happening, right? So what you do is you tell the stories of where they're going to go, and you tell the stories of memories that they had. And you can also really encourage people to what's new out there, right? If anyone's ever been to Venice, they've never seen it the way it is right now. It's so crystal clear, the water right now. It's so different than the experience that anyone had. So you could say, look, where you were, you never step into the stream in the same spot, right? This is the vivid, absolute truth of that.
Nice. All right. And so I'm looking at I got questions coming in every I got them on my phone. Y'all, I love this. All right. So one more quick question, and then we know you need to go, and we'll bring Cynthia on.
Okay.
In some of the work that online and some of the books you've been writing, you talk a little bit about the balance between the emotional side of really being a business owner and the persona and the stories you put out. Tell us a little bit about how do we reconcile the fact that this is hard as we are telling these stories?
It's really important to keep clear and obvious the parts that, everyone wants the presentation. Everyone wants the production. When we go to see our favorite band or act or something, we want to see their polished work. Like if we go to see a musician or something. But what we love just as much is if our favorite musician breaks for a minute or forgets the lyrics to the song, and they're like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Hang on a minute. And then they start again. That elates us so much more than we think it does. It's okay to be a little wrong. I always say this one thing. If you're an airline pilot or you're a surgeon, stop listening to me right now. Anybody else, you can mess up and it's okay. If you bring out your steak at your restaurant and the person gets it and they're like, this is absolutely not what I ordered, you could say, oh my gosh, you're so right. Let me make this 100 times better. I'm going to put my love in this next steak I bring you. I'm so sorry, right? Just don't do that if you're a surgeon or a pilot. I don't want you to mess up ever. You must be flawless. Everybody else, you can mess up.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much. And again, Chris, I know you may have to run. So if anyone has any questions for him after this, Chris at chrisbrogan.com, and apparently everywhere on the interwebs is where he is. All right.
Thank you,
Chris.
Tara.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and bring up our final speaker. Oh my God. Are y'all taking notes? Our final speaker is Cynthia Johnson. Cynthia, let's see if we can get Cynthia on the camera. So Cynthia is the Director of Established Business Services at the Women's Business Development Center in Chicago. Now, as young as she looks, let me tell you, this woman has spent years advising and coaching businesses. I know it says Women's Business Development Center, but there are also some men that she's worked with. So advising business owners on how to navigate all elements of their business. We had a really good conversation last week where we talked about, again, like Chris said, in these challenging times, and we talked about how the conversations are going. And she is really, honestly, Cynthia, you're doing God's work right now, because people are not only trying to figure out how to keep their businesses afloat, keep their lives afloat, and keep themselves and their people safe. And so Cynthia has a wisdom. We're so grateful that you're here. Cynthia, you want to share your screen and we can start.
Well, thank you, Marilyn and Tara, for providing me with the opportunity to engage with folks this afternoon. And the information is so needed. I am inspired by the work you're doing. And as you were introducing me, I was feeling such gratitude for having the job that I have, because I do work with entrepreneurs on a daily basis who are constantly faced with challenges. And we all know that we have to be adaptable, even given today's experience. We made a plan to launch this program and we ran into several difficulties. So sometimes when we make plans, God laughs. But we are very happy to be with you today. As Tara mentioned, I'm with the Development Center. We are based in Chicago, Illinois. I've been with the organization for 11 years, and prior to that, I was an entrepreneur for 30 years. So I have a lot of experience as a business owner and as an advisor. So today, I want to be able to share some real talk for rough times with you based on where we are currently.
Hey, Miss Cynthia, we're having some trouble with your audio, so take your microphone and get it closer to your mouth.
How's this?
There we go.
Is that much better?
Yes, ma'am. We want to hear all the nuggets.
Okay. All right. So I want to share some real talk for rough times today. I think the theme for today's event is spot on because, you know, as an entrepreneur, we're always experiencing rough times. But in today's environment, we are experiencing unprecedented crises and situations that no one's ever had to deal with before. So I want to cover some tips for you, ways to maximize opportunities. Tara, go to the next slide. Tara, can you go to the next slide? Great, thank you. I want to talk about some tips to maximize opportunities with your clients, your existing clients, and future clients, regardless of the size of your organization. I'm going to talk about collaborating with others, reevaluating your business model, and looking at ways to pivot. Next slide. So to build a resilient business, your mission, your purpose, and your actions have to be aligned with the value you're bringing to your clients. There's always going to be competition out there, and successful entrepreneurs really learn how to thrive during the tough times and explore opportunities to do business in different ways. So today, I want to explore some important points for you to consider while you're building resiliency and remaining relevant during economic uncertainty. It's so easy to get overwhelmed when you're faced with challenges. It's also a good time to pause and think about what you should be doing now. Next slide, Tara. It's a great time to sit and think and spend time planning about opportunities to prepare your business for growth. One of the very important things that you can do, and it kind of ties into what Chris was just talking about, that's how do you tell your story? It's a good time to revise your business pitch and be prepared to present your capabilities in a new way and perhaps a virtual environment, because you won't have the opportunity to meet with prospects or clients one-on-one on an individual basis. So now would be a great time to look at your value proposition, brush off your capabilities statement, connect with people who are in your network, and look for ways to fulfill needs that might not be met currently. And when you're talking about your business, when you're talking about your value proposition, it's so important to clearly articulate the value you add, the solutions you can provide, the money you can save your clients, and always, always, always lead with your strengths. You can also uncover hidden opportunities, look to fulfill some unmet needs. You know your clients or your customers in a way based on your professional experience. You know them in ways, and you can satisfy needs that they might not even recognize they have. So shift to bring to your clients what they need today. Look around. Today's needs are different from yesterday's. There's a focus on health. There's a focus on nutrition. There's a focus on safety. So create solutions around fulfilling unmet needs that your clients may have. Also, creating new value with your existing assets. Let's say you are a solopreneur who has a company that offers cleaning services. You might be able to shift and include providing sanitation services for some of your clients. So you want to rethink your products, rethink the services that you provide, and look for ways to be creative and innovative in delivering new products and services to your existing and potential clients. It's also an opportunity during this crisis to focus on what do clients love about what you do. Your existing clients are doing business with you for a reason. So ask them for referrals. Ask them to include you in their network. They can be ambassadors for you to help you grow your business. What else can you be doing now? Well, you can look to partner with other entities. You can collectively work together with partners to do what you can't do alone. So look to partnering with other business owners, other solopreneurs, other organizations to help you add value to attract new customers and satisfy the needs of your existing ones. So look for these opportunities to leverage your network. You can consider subcontracting. Some of my clients have built very successful businesses as subcontractors to folks who have a prime contract. And in doing so, you don't have to be concerned about getting paid. You don't have to, as a prime would, and you can bring your best value to the customer as a subcontractor working with the prime. You can also look at joint ventures, which would be a legal structure, or strategic alliances that are informal structures that help you work together to enhance your capacity to go after larger contracts. So if you're looking to partner, subcontract, a joint venture, or strategic alliance, just make sure that you're choosing your partners carefully. It's like a marriage. You're working with a business partner that needs to have similar values and business attributes to complement the ones that you have. If you are not a certified business entity, you may want to consider certification at this point to differentiate yourselves from the competition. There's minority business certification, there is women's business certification, there is veteran-owned certification, and certifications that are recognized by government agencies, city, state, and federal. And just as a reminder, the federal government buys everything that you can imagine. And there are specific programs within the federal government to work with women-owned businesses, small businesses, and diverse-owned businesses. So that could be a market certification, could be a marketing tool that would help you access new business opportunities. Take a look at who you're targeting as a customer, because not every customer is necessarily a good customer. And look for new clients outside of your existing client base who could use the products or services that you provide. Reposition with your existing clients. The best way to retain customers is to provide excellent client service and explore ways to diversify your revenue stream and keep your cash flowing. Look at introducing deposits or progress payments or different types of discounting for the products and services that you're providing so that you can continue to experience a healthy cash flow input. And finally, as I mentioned, not every client is a good client. So during an economic downturn, you may need to say goodbye to unprofitable business. It's a good time to analyze your current client base, look at your gross profit margin, look at what clients are demanding of you and your ability to meet their needs during this time. And it's essential that you revisit your sales funnel and make sure you have the right clients in that funnel to generate cash flow that will get you through these next 3, 6, 9 months and beyond. There are also ways to pivot in your existing business. Tara, go to the next slide, please. So when you're looking at pivoting, there are several things that you need to look at. Again, your value proposition, your value networks, how are you going to monetize the products or services that you provide, and the target customers. So I want to share very quickly with you a couple of pivot examples. Next slide, Tara. The first example is a business owner, a solopreneur who owns a business that provides pastry products, and she had been selling primarily to farmers markets or artist markets in the Atlanta area. Well, obviously, people are not shopping at farmers markets these days, so her business really required her to be to build her base organically, advertising through these regional and local events, selling produce and pop-up events. So because people were not attending those types of events, she creatively adapted her business and began advertising online. She created an online shop where she could be more engaged. She started using her social media channels with the help of her son, who was more tech savvy than she was. And then she started to record how-to videos for making bakery products, and she posted those on YouTube. So she used technology. Another quick example is a stationery shop owner who provided high quality customized stationery for events. Well, people are not having events these days, so her invitations were not in demand. So she started offering her products online.
Hey, Cynthia, one more minute, my dear.
All right, great. So the point is, look at what you do, how you do it, how can you use technology to supplement the value that you add to your customers, how can you interact with other business owners, use your network, and finally, final slide, social distancing has put us in a new world. Going virtual is the new normal. So we want to look at how can you use technology to innovate the way you do business and collaborate with other organizations to grow your business. So thank you very much for your time and attention. Again, I want to thank Tara and Marilyn and their team for putting this on, and I'm happy to take any questions.
All right. So I got some questions, and while you guys are thinking about questions, put them in the chat. So Cynthia, before you start talking about pivoting, you said, there may be an opportunity to partner or get subcontracts from bigger people. How do I even start doing that as a solopreneur? Where do I even start that search?
I'd start in your network, and if you are looking to be a subcontractor, you really need to know who the prime is. And if the prime is a provider to a corporation, there's a lot of information you can find online if you go to corporations' supplier diversity websites. They will tell you what they're buying. They will indicate what certifications they're looking for. And that is one way to find out who might need your products and services. You would register in the portal, and then you would follow up and begin a conversation with them via email.
Nice. All right. So one last question for you, because I know we're still over our time, but God bless y'all for hanging in there. So you talked about the whole social distancing. So many corporates are working from home. What are the best ways to connect virtually if you're trying to sell to somebody?
What I would recommend is that you create a value proposition statement that you can share electronically and request a virtual meeting. That's one way of doing it, because everyone is working remotely, but the work is continuing, and people are going to be looking for alternatives to suppliers to fill the needs that they have, and those needs are changing on a daily basis.
Nice. And Patricia had a question. Does the WBDC assist with getting certifications?
Oh, absolutely. One of our hallmarks is that we are the largest regional partner organization. We certify women-owned businesses in 9-state area. We also work with veterans. We are a small business development center, and we are a procurement technical assistance center. So we have tons of resources, from certification to supplier diversity information. And if you visit our website, you will see all of the various resources that we offer. We're based in Chicago. And we also have an access to capital program. As I was mentioning, we're based in Chicago, so some of our services are limited to Illinois, but other services like certification we provide throughout our 9-state region.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Cynthia. And Cynthia has graciously offered, if you are interested in getting a copy of her presentation slides, we will send it out to anybody who is who registered for this through the session. That's the only way we have your email addresses. So if you have not, we will get it in the chat, the link, so that you can register and get the replay and also any of the slides. I think Josh may have some as well that he is open to. So now, y'all have been through so much with us, and it's been a lot of great information. I want to bring on my partner, Marilyn Johnson. So Marilyn, go ahead and turn your camera on. Let's see if we can get, there you are.
Hey, everybody.
Miss Marilyn.
So like Tara said, thank you so much for everybody hanging in there with us. I really want to thank our speakers, because they hung in there too. It was like we were all in the room. We were actually in the punishment room where we couldn't get out. But for everybody who did transition, I hope you found this helpful. And please let your friends know that this information will be uploaded onto our website, SoloCEO Summit. And also just keep plugging along. I mean, truthfully, this is really how our lives go. You have the best plans, and then all of a sudden life happens. I think that everybody did an exceptional job. Tara, you did a great job at handling it, and our speakers did a good job sharing the information. We would love for you to continue to be with us. So check in on us from time to time. We do have an upcoming summit that's scheduled for the 8th. Well, it's in
October 16th.
October 16th. Yeah, today is the 8th of May. Hello.
Is it still today? It's been a very long day.
It is a Friday, but I just wanted to say thank you. And also thank you to our team. Thank you to Krista and Sherry and Latoya. You guys haven't seen who's behind the cameras, but we could not have switched from platform to platform so quickly had it not been for all the cell phones, all of the text messages between our team, but also we had text messages from you all, people who support us and believe not only in what we're doing, but also know it's important to stick together in our community of business owners. So thank you to everybody. Tara, you want to throw something out before we say have a great Friday?
Well, Patricia asked, are we going to do more of these types of events? We
No.
absolutely. I'm like, is today the day you want to ask me that? No, we are absolutely going to do more events. We trust me, it's going to be a little bit more of a well-oiled machine when we get this done. But absolutely,
we have a survey even.
Yeah, so we're gonna put a survey. Well, I'll put a link to the survey because we actually want to hear what are the things that you're challenged with. We want to be able to provide relevant information. We are so not about fluff. Y'all, life is hard and life is fun, and we ain't got time for nonsense. And so, go to the survey. Tell us what you want to hear more about. Tell us the speakers that you want. As you can see, that we are intent about getting the right kind of people that have the right message. So, so I will put the link to the evaluation in the surveys as soon as I get it up. And thank y'all so much for hanging in there and for the support.
Thank you, everybody.